what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your Monday morning energizer covering insights and trends in higher ed marketing and enrollment. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing over 15 years of edtech and marketing expertise to your earbuds.
And I'm Seth Odell, joining the Pulse with my own adventures from leading marketing at top universities to founding Kanahoma, one of the industry's fastest growing digital marketing agencies.
Each week, we bring you the kind of insider insights you typically only find over cocktails with your pals at a conference.
It's fast, it's fun, and it's designed for you, the busy higher ed professional.
You're not just listening to another podcast.
You're checking the pulse of higher education.
Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher ed professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. All right, and we are back live at the eduWeb Summit. I'm sitting down with Kittie Payne, the Director of Graduate Admissions at Kutztown University of Pennsylvania. Kittie, we just had the most fun night at the Phillies-Dodgers game celebrating Enrollify's 5th birthday, and I felt like it was so lucky that you were there. You were like our local on the ground, like you need to look at this when the Grand Slam happens, and it was so much fun. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite and happy birthday. It was a load of fun to play tour guide to you all. So thank you. And yes, go Phils.
It was such a good game. Y'all, it was 10-1. We saw a grand slam, 2 home runs. I mean, it was just like, it was the right way to celebrate Enrollify's 5th birthday. We had our orange sunglasses on. It was, oh my goodness, it was just a blast. Sorry, I'm giving everyone FOMO right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you were telling me about a pretty major project that you are working on this summer. You know, just the small thing to tackle, rewriting your entire prospect campaign. So how are you going about this? I know that there is so much that falls into a project like that. And I just want to hear your insights. Why are you doing it? How is this campaign going to be different than previous ones? Maybe we start there.
Okay. Well, let me go back first in order to get where we are. We went to a new CRM about 3 years ago, and at that time, I just transferred the campaign that I wrote 4 years ago into that system. It is very text heavy, good hyperlinks, but there's just a lot of information that is delivered through copy and content. And after this extended period of time, I'm thinking I need to rewrite this. But I started listening to the audience, and the audience was telling me that they are not reading. They're not clicking through the hyperlinks. They're not taking the steps that I had been presenting to them. So I needed to rethink this approach. And that rethought came with graphics, images, shorter content, bits, pieces. So I've extended the campaign. I deliver it in different day increments as well. I'm trying to respond to their questions coming up on day 5. So let me answer it on day 3. Right? I'm just trying to get ahead of watching their actions and kind of just be responsive to that. I wanted to do it ahead of our fall recruitment season. So it has been a monumental task, but one that I'm really proud of and really excited that when we get this up and running all together, I feel really good at the end of the day.
I had an experience just this week where I sent out an email where I thought I had clearly communicated a key piece of information and instantly got like 10 replies from people saying, hey, this information is missing, blah, blah. I'm like, well, if you read my email, you would have seen that information was missing. And someone responded and said, well, I was just looking at the headlines. And I thought that was so interesting. I was like, here I was sitting there thinking I very clearly communicated what was going on. And the audience response was, no, I just skimmed the headlines and I didn't actually read any of the copy in your email. That hurts because I spent so long writing that email. So it sounds like you're seeing some similar insights because you're saying less text, more images, shorter messages. Do you have a staff of like 10 people to help you here?
That's a great question. I do not. I have a staff of me to do this. As the director of grad admissions, I am in charge of a lot of different things. I think that's common in higher education. Maybe not acceptable, but common. So one of the hats that I wear is this communications piece. I do some things hand in hand with campus partners, and that includes Marcom providing me with the images and the graphics that I'm seeking, but I have to tell them what I need. I sometimes just draw it out in a pencil and like send it to them, right? That's very old school. And then I rely heavily on IT to write the codes for the templates so they can be delivered properly and look pretty, and that they can load them in the CRM for me. But otherwise, I'm planning out everything that it's going to say. I have 40 programs. So I'm also trying to make sure that, we're hitting program information and then student information, support information, what the university has. And again, trying to get ahead. I'm listening to what the students are asking. So I want to make sure we're talking about finances, what the tuition and fees are, but it can't be so minute, I guess, in the details that I'm going back and adjusting this very often because, again, it's just me.
So I have to imagine across 40 programs, you are dealing with a wide variety of ages and generations. I bet you've got some students who are fresh out of college all the way to much later in their life that you are communicating to. Are these insights that you are finding around shorter content, more image-based, relevant to all of these different populations and generations?
For the most part, they are. I mean, I wish I could kind of get a little bit more granular with siphoning that off, but for the most part, they are. We are unfortunately a society now that reads the headline, like you were talking about with your email, and not really deep diving into what. So they're skimming. So I might as well put what information I need in a skimmable format. Is that even a word?
It is now.
Okay.
Yeah. The attention spans are short,
They
right?
are.
Yeah. So it's, and we're competing with the noise from not just other institutions, but like everything, like from House of Dragons coming out on Sunday nights all the way to like the new lip gloss on the market.
Right,
Like,
right.
So, what are some of the ways you're finding that you can cut through that noise?
That's a great question because I do test my subjects. Free tools out there to test your subjects. And on the graduate side, we hadn't been using images in the subject lines, but we are now. So we're talking real refresh. I'm silly about how excited I am about this and trying to make sure that it's an action. I brought it up to a dean one time when I was trying to explain this. When your favorite coffee company just puts the name of the coffee company in the subject line, you don't open it. But when they put reward inside, you do. So there's something, I try to make it catchy. At the same time, they've asked for this information, so they know that it's coming. What I really like to do is try to cut through the electronic noise and still follow up with something old school, paper delivery. I really only focus on that with our applicant pool and not our prospect pool.
I was just about to ask you if this campaign that you're refreshing is all email based or if you were looking at other channels. So clearly you're also thinking about print, but what about some of the other digital channels too?
We actually don't leverage our prospects through our digital campaigns. We do digital campaigns just to generate brand awareness, and then they feed into any kind of RFI and that kind of prospect feed.
I was just talking here at eduWeb to Sarah Wallace yesterday from Simpson Scarborough, who was heavily advocating for that approach and saying that, pretty much every dollar that you spend at the very top of the funnel with brand awareness has incredible returns. It's a little longer tail, but it has really strong returns on the low funnel. So just interesting that you brought that up too.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Yay.
look at you. So because you have a team of you, are you integrating AI to help you, get this campaign out the door by your deadline in August?
That's a great question. I'm not. And I feel like I'm probably a standalone, not AI user in this instance, but I haven't had the chance to kind of play with it to see yet what that voice would sound like. I use AI in different ways to respond to our students like individually, but not in a campaign and writing a campaign.
I bet that a lot of listeners are in the same boat, right? Like I was just talking to someone this morning who was acknowledging the need to start experimenting and playing with AI, but was kind of lamenting that like he wears 6 hats on his campus and just like time, right? Like when he leaves work, he's got other things to do. And in the balance, like prioritizing experimenting with AI just hasn't been at the top of the list. So I think there's a lot of awareness right now that like, okay, this AI thing's not going anywhere. It can be really helpful. We're seeing early signs of that. I just really think there's still a lot of people who haven't even tried it out yet. So when you do go to AI and you test it out, where do you think you'll start?
Gosh, okay. I'm not sure, but I think that I might start with some of the earlier campaigns where I don't have to get into the weeds of information yet. I can personalize things a little bit easier if I use AI. I overheard you telling somebody the other day about putting in the tone, making sure that everything has the tone. And I think that's a really good starting point. And that might help me wrap around things a little bit better. If our tone is going to be set a certain way, then maybe I'm not afraid of how impersonal it might give me results.
Yeah. I love a good custom GPT. We'll talk about this off air, but and listeners, if you're going to be at eduWeb, I'm doing a lightning talk on how to create custom GPTs. It's shockingly easy and it can save oodles of time on the other side. So a little plug for my upcoming session, but also a fan girl of a custom GPT over here. All right, Kittie, any parting thoughts as we wrap this up? I know you've got a presentation to get to, so
overall, listen to your audience, and it changes, right? We are in higher education. Our traditional undergrads have changed, and we joke every 4 years they're going to change again. But the graduate audience is, as you mentioned, vast. We talk from the college goer to a retiree and beyond. And what their needs are going to be different, even in terms of academics. And if I am not telling what the academics are in this way, I just have to listen to them to know what they need. And then I can help deliver that information. So listening is key.
I love that. And it's so core and foundational to our work as marketing communication professionals. And what a great reminder that even as all the technology changes around us, that at the end of the day, knowing and understanding your audiences is the thing that you need to do. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's a wonderful note to end on. Folks, if you want to connect with Kittie, you can find a link to her LinkedIn in our show notes. And friends, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. The Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our show helps higher ed marketers and admission pros find their next big idea and features a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Brian Gross, Eddie Francis, Jenny Lee Fowler, and so many of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.